Welcome, Legion. I'd like to talk to you guys about how to train to reduce the risk of other injuries when you're currently injured. So if you're going through a rehabilitation program at the moment for a specific area of your body, I encourage that you are seeking the help of a physiotherapist to help you through that injury process and that rehabilitation process, but also seeking the advice of a strength and conditioning coach to keep the rest of your body ticking over. This is a great time to take the opportunity to work on some other areas in your arsenal that might help you when you come back and return to play. So you don't need to lose your conditioning, you don't need to lose your strength, you don't need to lose all your power. It's important to realise that even though one limb is injured, the rest of the body can still train. And it should still train really hard, because we can actually get some systemic, a whole body effect that can actually promote further healing for that injury. So we can actually heal a little bit quicker if we allow ourselves to work on these other areas while we're waiting for the affected area to heal and then also rehabilitate. So it's important to devise a plan like you would a normal training program. You want to develop a plan, a program around how you're going to train around an injury potentially, or in conjunction with the rehabilitation program. So how can you keep everything else still ticking over? Let's say I've got a shoulder injury, but I want to keep my legs strong. What exercises can I use to keep my legs strong? We've got squats. With that, we can also use a safety bar squat, so a specialty bar that can help us squat even with a shoulder injury. Maybe we use the leg press instead. There's so many different ways to be very creative and still get what we need as an athlete while we're injured. It's definitely important to focus on these other areas while you're going through the rehabilitation of another area. Don't just forget about them. Because what can happen is if you work so hard on one area, yeah, that's great. The rehab's done on that, that's good to go, that's not going to be an issue. You're actually still at a pretty great chance of hurting yourself in another area. Especially if you haven't been really doing any work on that area, it's now become maybe a little bit deconditioned. Because you haven't been able to train everything as a whole, and you've really only been focusing on one area, the other areas now might be lacking a little bit, and now they're at a greater risk of injury. So it's really important that when you've got this rehabilitation program, that we're looking at the whole, we're looking at the collective, not just the here and now for one injury, we're looking at the whole body. Because maybe that was the issue in the first place, is that there was a problem with one side that then affected the other. Essentially, a good program is just a good S&C program that's just for the unaffected limbs. So it's just a good program that kind of works around this injured area. And you'll find you can make some pretty good progress still in areas that are not even affected by the injury. The important thing is to be patient and don't overload yourself. What can happen is that if you build up, obviously you build upon this injured area, and because you haven't been working on the other areas, they now may get overloaded. So let's say you come back a bit too quickly, and let's say maybe the injured area isn't quite ready to go. So what happens is to get the work done, and that work might be running, swimming, jumping, landing, whatever it is, you're using your non-injured side. Vice versa, if you work so hard on your injured side that now that becomes the dominating force, the other side now becomes a little bit susceptible. So it goes both ways. If you haven't done the proper rehab and you haven't been working on the other side that well, then now that has the potential to overload and cause injury. So the main takeaway from this is to create balance. Essentially, a good rehabilitation program is just a good modified strength and conditioning program. So in conjunction with a good physio and a good strength and conditioning coach, we can combine the two together and actually make you a better athlete than when you actually got injured. And that really should be one of our ultimate goals coming off a rehabilitation program. All right, thanks for that, guys. Cheers.